Hi guys, hello, afternoon everyone, and welcome to our channel Unison of Geek Show. My name is Sanskriti, and today I'm going to give you a book summary and review of Dracula. So, as you know, Dracula is a famous gothic horror tale per excellence and a classic of genre. It has an excellent treatment of popular belief in the undead and introduces supernatural character of terrifying evil. Author Bram Stoker based the story on folk tales and myths that placed in his time of Victorian Britain, a time that elevated technical progress, empiricism, and the scientific mind above all else. Stoker plays to these ministers of Victorian society by writing his novel in the form of letters and diary extracts, contemporary and sharing first-hand accounts. Despite his empirical approach, the story takes its reader on a tense journey into a world where reason and facts no longer apply. Dracula marks the starting point of the vampire's triumphal procession into the modern cinemas and popular culture. The various subtexts that pervade the novel, including eroticism and social criticism, further contribute to people's fascination with the legend of the vampire. I'll share my screen. Dracula by Bram Stoker. His first edition was in London, 1897. Count Dracula's Castle. Jonathan Harker, a young soldier from Britain, travels to Transylvania to advise on a purchase of a London property. Several strange occurrences and the locals' further reactions on finding out where Harker is headed turn initial excitement into unease and a sense of bonding. He arrives at the Count's dilapidated castle after a terrifying nocturnal carriage ride through the forest, teeming with howling wolves. An old man dressed all in black opens the door for him and invites him in. This man turns out to be Count Dracula himself. Harker receives a friendly welcome and spends a few pleasant evenings in the conversation with the Count. But he grows increasingly concerned when he starts noticing odd things about Dracula. First, as the fact that he never eats and doesn't seem to have any servants. One day, while Harker is shaving, the Count appears behind him, and Harker is shocked when there is no reflection of the Count in the mirror. Also, the sight of the Harker's blood from a small cut sends the Count into a dynamic fury. Things get more and more sinister. Soon Harker realizes that he's a prisoner. He catches a glimpse of the Count climbing down the castle wall from his window like a lizard. Desperate to find a way out, Harker starts exploring the castle. One night, three beautiful, seductive women, all vampires, accost him. Just as one of them approaches, Harker bites his neck. The Count appears and hurls the women away from Harker. The Count prepares for his trip to Britain, and a group of surviving gypsies came to the castle to fill wooden boxes with the soil from the chapel. It becomes clear that the Count doesn't intend to let Harker go. In an attempt to escape and save his life, Harker enters the Count's living quarters in the safety of daylight. He finds the Count in the chapel lying in the coffin, unmoving but his eyes open. Terrified, Harker flees back to his room. The Count leaves for London and Harker finds himself locked in the castle and left at the mercy of the three female vampires. He decides on a desperate plan to escape. Young Lucy Westerner and Harker's fiancée Minnie Murray are close friends. In a letter, Lucy tells Minna about three marriage proposals she has received, one from Dr. John Stewart, a young doctor in charge of large lunatic asylum, one from an American adventurer from Texas, Quincy P. Morris, and a final one from the young aristocrat Arthur Woodward, with whom she is deeply in love. Mina goes to visit Lucy in Vespai, and the two explore the area together, spending many hours in the cemetery next to Abbey over the town. Lucy starts sleepwalking, and Mina becomes increasingly concerned with her friend. When a violent storm hits the little harbor town, a Russian schooner runs ashore in the harbor. There is no crew on board apart from a dead seaman tied to the wheel by his hands. The schooner's main load comprises large wooden boxes filled with earth. The instant the ship touches the shore, a huge dog jumps off and disappears into the darkness. A few days after the storm, Mina wakes up in the middle of the night and finds that Lucy has disappeared from the room. Mina goes looking for her and finally spots her lying unconscious up in a gravestone in the cemetery. Bent over a long black figure with a white face and gleaming red eyes, the figure disappears as Mina runs up to him. In the days following the incident, Lucy initially seems to recover but her sleepwalking continues. Also, Mina notices little two marks on her throat. One night, Fitna finds Lucy asleep in an open window seated next to her window shield. Lucy appears on the seated next to her window shield, something that looks like a gold bird sees. Lucy's condition starts to deteriorate. Mina is increasingly concerned that she doesn't heard from her fiancé. Finally, she receives a letter from hospital in Hungary where he is recovering from a violent brain fever. Mina packs her bags and sets off to be with him. Then they marry in the hospital and Harker entrusts her with his diary entries of that time and Dracula. Mina decides not to read them. At his asylum in London, Stewart is dealing with a patient named Ranfield who displays odd and often disturbing behavior. He spends his days creating colonies of flies, birds, and start teasing and eating. Several times he manages to frame the fantasy to go to a nearby neglected house. His behavior seems among extreme violence and depression and submission. He often talks about serving an animal master and seems to be able to communicate with bats. In Whitby, Lucy's condition continues to deteriorate. Her fiancé, Holmwood, asks his friend Stewart for advice, who in turn contacts his former professor, Dr. Abraham Van Helsing. The unorthodox scholar seen from Amsterdam has experience with unusual illness. Interviewed by the case, he travels to Britain to have a look at Lucy. He's concerned about her pallor and the mysterious wound on her neck. Even though he seems to have an idea in the case of Lucy's illness, he tells neither Stewart nor Lucy for his suspicions. A bat regularly appears at Lucy's bedroom window at night. In the morning, Lucy complains of vague and terrifying dreams. On several occasions, Stewart and Helsing finds Lucy so pale and weak in the morning that their only option to give her blood transfusion. Both of them and Holmblue and Quincy Morris take their turn giving Lucy blood. Despite their effort, Lucy continues to fade away. As she lies dying, Stewart is struck by a long and sharp perceived to look. When she asks for final space from her family, Vincent intervenes. Van Helsing intervenes, her breathing stops. Mina returns to London with her now husband Jonathan, and she learns to see them. Harker suffers a shock when she spots Count Dracula in a court while going for a walk. Concerned, Mina decides to read Harker's diary. He receives a note from Hannah if he could visit her to talk about Lucy. The conversation confirms to Mina that her husband knows ardent of a result of a dream, but the truth. Van Helsing grows alarmed and he grows reports of children disappearing at night and returning to morning with neck wounds and talking about a mysterious blue lady, a beautiful woman in black. He steers towards that his ship isn't that Lucy has turned into a vampire and in fact that woman in black. Van Helsing's suggestion horrifies Stewart, but he appears to come help dig up Lucy's coffin. When they open, they find it empty, yet when they return the next day, her body is there. Van Helsing and Stewart get to word with Holmblue and Morris. Van Helsing explains that he thinks it has happened to Lucy and tells his friends that the only way to redeem her soul is to kill her a second time. Like Stewart and Holmblue, Morris are reluctant to accept Van Helsing's theory, but they appear to make another nocturnal trip to the cemetery. They find Lucy just as she was about to drink a child's blood. Hissing with rage, she challenges the men while at the same time trying to seduce. Holmblue, just as about to scoop her evil charms, Van Helsing steps between them with his crucifix and disappears into her tomb. The men return to the next day and Holmblue drives a wooden strike into her heart when her feature relaxed to her former self and is finally allowed to give her the long-desired last kiss. Van Helsing cut off Lucy's head and stuffs garlic in her mouth. The men swear they won't rest until they found and killed Count Dracula. The four men decided to bring the Harkers on board and they started to assemble all the information they have on Dracula from various remote diaries, newsletters, and newspaper clippings. Mina is instrumental in putting this information together, but first their meeting, the group agrees to exclude Mina from further meetings for her own safety. The men off to explore Dracula's house in London. On the way, they step to speak to Stewart's patient Ranfield, who tries to talk Stewart into leaving him. Stewart refuses, respects Beckett. In the fall-smelling chapel at Dracula's property, men find 29 of the 40 boxes that the Count has shipped to England. They assume that he had moved the rest of the boxes to other places in case the resting place in the chapel was discovered. When Harker returns home in the early morning, Mina's parlor praises. The men make plans to find Dracula's wooden boxes and make sure them unusable to find by placing scattered religious notes into them. They spend days trying to locate the Count's various properties in London. One evening, a warden calls Seward to Ranfield's cell, and doctor finds his patient lying on the floor with several injuries. Van Helsing operates on him, and Renfield briefly regains consciousness. He tells the man about his connection to Dracula and to reveal to them that the Count has already found his next victim, Mina. Seward and Van Helsing rush to Mina's bedroom and find her husband lying unconscious on the floor. Dracula is standing next to the bed with Mina's face pressed against it, a bleeding wound on the chest. Holding up a crucifix, Van Helsing manages to drive the vampire away. Shocked by the blood, the men agreed that it is safer to include Mina again in their quest, but it is already too late. She has exchanged blood with Dracula and now is in another place. The full extent of the vampire baptism becomes clear when Van Helsing tries to protect her, blasting a host on her forehead, burns her head marked in the skin. Mina asks her headman to promise to drive a stake into her heart. She would turn into a vampire. The men set off their mission and renewed determination as they way to save Mina's soul to kill Dracula. They managed to find 49 of the 50 boxes and make them unavailable. At the last property, they meet the vampire himself. They try to empower him, but his superhuman strength is too much for them. Dracula escapes. Mina finds that her vampire baptism has an expected positive side effect. She's able to, under the hypnosis, to get to the sense of Count's whereabouts. Her vague impression of water and creaking boards suggests that the Count has boarded a ship. After a few inquiries, the men learn that the Count has taken a vampire Varna together with Mina. They set off by train to meet Dracula and to his destination. Their plan is to seal the wooden box in the rest before he can leave. They manage to get to Varna before the ship's arrival, but to dismay, they find that the ship has changed course and docked into a different harbor. When the friends arrive there, there is no trace of Dracula. Another hypnosis suggestion reveals that the Count is again trying to travel on. They find that the Count holds as Mina has listened. Back to her former self, Mina examines all the facts and concludes that the Count must be on his way back to his castle, one of the Catherine rivers. Determined to catch him before he gets back to his lair, the group splits up. Harkan and Hamoon takes a steamboat. Stewart and Morris take over the hoverboat route, and Mona and Van Helsing travel route that Harker took the first came to visit the Count. The closer Van Helsing and Mina gets to the castle, the more erratic Mina behavior becomes. She sleeps during the day and stops eating. One night, the three females appear and try to lure Mina to them. However, she can't leave the circle of those that Van Helsing has put around her for protection. The next morning, Van Helsing leaves Mina in the circle and starts off to the castle on his own. In the chapel, he finds three female vampires in their coffins. He resists their seductive beauty and drives them straight into their hearts. He also puts force into Dracula's husband, rendering it unable to the vampire. Van Helsing rushes back to Mina, and from the vantage point, they see a group of gypsies pulling a cart. Four riders rush up and force the gypsies to stop. They are Homelord, Stewart, and Harker and Morris. At the sun starts to set, Morris and Harker push their way through the gypsies, try to fend off the men. Morris and Harker manage to mount the cart and open the lid with a knife. Harker slices off Dracula's head while Morris stabs him in his heart. Immediately, Dracula's body turns into dust. Van Helsing and Mina rushes over to the men and find Morris has been mortally injured in the fight with the gypsies. Clutching Mina's hand, he sees that the mark of her forehead has reappeared here. He dies in the knowledge that his death hasn't been in vain. Thank you for watching. If you like, you share with your friends, family, and neighbors. Please do tell your favorite comics, manga, web novel, manga, and any other book of your liking. And yes, part 2 we will discuss next week. Thank you for watching.